Hello and good morning. I'd like to welcome you to the Embodied Participation Practice. In this practice, we take a little bit of time every day, about an hour every day, to move into a relationship with a challenge that we are facing and learn how to recognize how it is embodied in our experience and bring ourselves fully home to the living support and mystery of God so that we can be reorganized and renewed in that Christ mystery so that we can face into the challenges that are happening today with God's living love and grace and peace. So welcome to this practice. For this practice, to get the best results, you're going to want to grab a journal, two different color pens, and find yourself in a comfortable seated position for about the next hour so where you won't be interrupted. I'm going to give you a few more moments to go ahead and get situated, and then we can begin our time together. Excuse me, my nose is itchy. So once you find yourself in that comfortable seated position, we're going to take a moment to begin in the same way that we're invited to begin all of our moments of conscious awareness, and that is to first pause and take a moment to recognize how you are connected to and supported by the place where you are seated. Sorry, my nose is really itching. And as you are noticing how you are held by the place where you are seated, Jesus invites us to take a moment to recognize which part of your body feels the most held by your seat. And as you notice where you are the most held by your seat, you're going to go ahead and write that down into your journal next to the word support. You're going to write down that body part we're saying, here is where I am already supported. Here's where I am already supported. And as you notice that, see if you can recognize the quality of support that you are receiving. What does that support feel like to you? And as you recognize that living quality of support, take a moment and you're going to let your brain refresh the awareness of that. We're saying, this is God's living gift to me. This is God's living gift to me today. And you want to take a moment to really allow yourself to receive that living support. Kind of like if you sit in a jacuzzi or you sit into a warm bath and you're trying to take a moment to really allow your whole body to receive that experience. We're doing the same thing here. You're recognizing the living quality of support that God is providing you, and you're taking a moment for your brain to recognize it, but also for your body to see, um, how do I actually receive this living support? Take a moment and see if you can watch that process of receiving the support. And then from that place, we want to go ahead and notice the challenge that we are facing into today. What is the challenge that is most alive for you today? We're going to take a moment to recognize that, and we're going to write it into our journal in a short blurb. Let's go ahead and do that together now. Now we're going to take a moment and we're going to move into, how does this show up in our full embodied experience? So you're going to read back through that challenge and you want to notice, how does your mind see yourself in that challenge? And what are the thoughts that you hear your mind thinking as you are becoming aware that this challenge is present? And then you want to take a moment and notice, how are you speaking about this challenge? And how is it that you recognize your behavior? How are you behaving in the face of this challenge? Are you moving towards it, trying to really wrangle it into submission, or are you maybe frozen, unsure what to do? Or are you doing anything but what you're facing into this challenge? Take a moment and notice, how do you behave when this challenge is present in your life? For this next one, with the emotion and the sensation, you want to take a moment and you can draw like a little, like I do a little cookie cutter drawing if I'm not using my workbook pages. And you want to take a moment and notice, what are the emotions or the sensations that come up as you're facing into this challenge? And draw where you feel it and what the emotion feels like. So take a little bit of time here. I'm going to run really quick. I need to run to the restroom and I'll be right back. So as you're noticing that emotion and the sensations that come along with it, You can also recognize how does your breathing rate respond to that, your breath rate? Do you feel like it makes you breathe more anxiously? Do you feel like it makes you hold your breath, or maybe breathe really small and shallow? Or maybe you feel like you got the wind knocked out of you? Take a moment and notice what that feels like for you. How do you breathe when this challenge is present and you're facing into it? And in the past, what did you notice as what was the outcome as you faced into a challenge similar to this today, or maybe it's the same one you keep dealing with? How did you, how did that happen in the past? What was the outcome in the past as you faced into this quality of challenge? Hmm. Hmm. And then notice, what do you imagine is going to happen in the future because this challenge is present today? So this is kind of like your first initial reaction, like this is happening, so that means we kind of jump to conclusions unconsciously, but just notice what is your story about what you think is going to happen because this challenge is present. One of the things that's very interesting about answering that question is it always surprises me when I answer that question because it then really shows me like why I am really reacting the way that I am, because there's this unconscious evoker that is really pushing me to be reactive. It's usually um, it's just always a very interesting mindset when you really take a moment to look at what is it that you think is going to happen because this is happening right now. So this is the end of step two. And we have gone through and really named, here's how this experience is showing up in my body and in my mind and in my behavior and in my heart. This really helps us bring ourselves fully home, all of ourselves fully home to the living heart and love of God. But we have to be able to be that conversion space for that living experience. And it's tricky because in our world, we're really operating from this dualistic mindset where we're saying, well, that's bad and this is good. And so a lot of times if we're feeling challenging experiences, we're always just trying to push to the positive. What Christ is inviting us to do, what God is inviting us to do, is to allow the living Christ support that you feel in that initial support experience be completely and tenderly and radically holding without trying to change it, but just holding in this living love, this experience, this embodied experience. So as we are doing the practice today, see if you can really feel this space of conversion. It's not an overpowering or a pushing away of what feels challenging. It is a very delicate and radical finesse of, can I really let myself hold this quality of experience? So let's go ahead now. We're going to change our pen color to the second color, whatever your second color is. And we're going to go back through and hold each of these aspects of our embodied experience. And then you're noticing as you hold that for 2 to 3 minutes on each one, what do you become aware of then? Because what happens is as soon as you sit in that safety and support, your biochemistry begins to integrate the challenge. And then God is able to show you, here's how you walk through this challenge. So we're not so embedded and stuck in our own familiar experience. Okay, let's go ahead and move into this part of the class together. Now, this is the best part of the class. So first, we're going to revisit that support. How do you feel supported now as you are held by the place you're seated? And how does it feel to receive that living quality of support that's being offered to you? Let's go ahead and refresh our awareness of that experience. And you want to take a moment and you're going to notice, how does this experience come alive in your mind? You're just holding your sweet little brain as your brain is facing into this challenge. You're just holding this in God's living love and support. You can also place a pillow underneath your arms for support if you need some help holding your head. Then you want to take a moment and you want to write down any insights that you experience as you are just holding your sweet little brain in God's love as you face into this challenge. And you want to notice, you want to hold your neck or your throat in the way that you speak about this challenge, what that's been like for your neck and your throat as you talk about it. And then you want to take a moment and notice, how do you behave in the face of this challenge? And you're just holding your collarbones. That's the initiator of your movements. You want to just take your hands and hold. This is such an interesting part of our bodies to learn how to strength train receiving that living love, because this is kind of really our armor plate. It's where we push into the world or maybe collapse away from the world. So the collarbones themselves, as you're holding this area, you really want to take a moment and refresh your awareness of what is that living support, and see, is that able to be expressed through your hands? How well do the collarbones and the front of the chest receive that living support? So refresh your awareness of the support you're being provided. And let that wash over your collarbones and the front of your chest. And you want to take a moment and write down whatever insights or awarenesses you experience in your journal. And then you want to recognize the emotions and the sensations that you feel as you're facing into this challenge. You can reread the challenge again to re-evoke it and then become aware of what comes up. So let's go ahead and do that together now. You want to make a note on what insights come up for you. And you're taking a moment to hold your lungs. Think about your lungs and your heart both have been just relentlessly working for you since you were born. And as you take a moment and just let them actually be held and rest into this outpouring of God's living love and support, notice what that feels like. Notice what comes up for you as you're holding your sweet lungs and your sweet heart in this living love and support. And then you want to recognize, you're going to read back through how it was in your past as you face into this challenge, and you're just going to take a moment to hold that aspect of yourself in this living love and support. And you want to take a moment and recognize the thing that you are imagining is going to happen in the future. You're taking a moment to hold that in God's living love and support, and just noticing what is revealed in and to you as you are holding that. Now that you are now that you are able to hold that, hold yourself in this living love, now we can better hear how God is speaking to us. We want to choose to turn ourselves fully to the heart of our living God. And we're saying, God, show me how to face into and respond to this challenge in your love, grace, and peace. So really take a moment, recognize how you and where you experience God, and turn yourself to God's living heart. God, show me how to walk through this challenge in your grace and love and peace. So you're taking notes on what it is that you're being invited um, to do today. How do you walk with Christ, in Christ? And Jesus invites us to take note of that and then look at where you began. What is the challenge you began with? And then what did God give you for that challenge today? Let's take a moment and notice that. So Jesus is inviting me to talk each day about what I'm starting with and what I end with, just to kind of give a modeling of how this works every day, and also to help us really um, teach our brains that the challenges that we are facing are the beginning. It's not the end. It's not even like God hasn't even gotten started yet. We haven't even, until we bring ourselves fully home to God, God's will for the challenge has not even begun to unfold, because he wants us to be able to hold, radically embrace that challenge internally and let that challenge be held in God's living love. But if we won't move into relationship with it because we don't have the tools or the awareness or the experience of being held in God to do it, then it doesn't ever get done. So it just keeps we keep pushing out that challenge and the reactivity out into the world. So Jesus is saying that, like, look at what your challenge is today, and then look at where God brought you with this challenge. For me, one of the challenges I'm facing is the amount of time every day that is required to do this, along with the other teachings and stuff that I'm being invited to start holding. And in my mind, I'm following all the steps, but things are getting very organized and very clear, and it's a little scary because I'm used to living with a little bit more um, stress that blocks me. But once I've set boundaries and set things out, like there's a total open door, but it still requires, 7 hours of work every morning to do this, and that scares me because I think, well, I'm not going to have a life. I'm going to be tired. I'm not going to be able to be here and do this. I'm going to be just everything for me is going to be gone. And this is the first time in my life where there's more of me. I'm fully taken care of. My home and my food and like everything is totally organized and in place in Christ. There's a level of joy that is also with it. I have flowers, fresh flowers in every room from my yard that he shows me how to cultivate and how to work with. And even though right now everything outside is kind of a mess, it's still, everything is beautiful and fully taken care of now. It's like it is providing everything before I even begin. It is a success for my body and my heart and my soul because I'm fully cared for before I even begin. Where in the past, I was putting the world first, and I was running at trying to put all these things in place in the world, and I was empty. So, yes, I was accomplishing these things, but there wasn't this living love, living joy, living peace and grace that was alive in me and carrying me throughout the whole thing. I was in front of God, and I was wearing myself out doing that. And so it made me laugh this morning when I think about what I think is going to happen in the future, because I'm putting this much time into this. A huge part of my unconscious self was afraid I'm, number one, going to fail, and number two, that there's not going to be enough of me. I'm going to lose myself in this because it's going to be too hard and I'm going to be frazzled. And And that's why I would keep stopping in the past, because I was in front of God, I was doing that. But when I get behind God and I'm letting God fully hold me, I'm already cared for. It's already a success, because this is the point. The point is this conversion, to be this space of conversion with God's living love in all the things I'm doing throughout the day. And that requires me moving back, stepping back from the worldly doing and into the divine receiving. And as I'm letting myself be radically embraced, that is where then everything changes. So it just makes me laugh, because really, until we have met this living love and support, we are really running around like chickens, and stressed and tired and overwhelmed, rather than coming from this place of overflow. So that's what God gave me this morning. I'm interested to hear what God gave for you. This is a modeling that Jesus is really inviting us to do, saying, yes, here's my challenge. The challenge is the beginning. This requires quite a bit of strength training, because we think our challenge is the end, when the challenge is actually the beginning. Christ turns everything on its head. And so in the notes, or in the comments, you'll see me talk every day now about what I started with and where it is taking me. And thank you, God. All the glory goes to God. All I can ever do is just show up and receive what is being given, and then follow with the aliveness of what God is giving me. If I'm in front of God, um, I just have 47 years of feeling what that's like, and it's very stressful. I don't wish that on anybody. So, anyways, I am so glad you've been here with me today, and I give you a big hug, a big virtual hug. Also, in the description box below, there's going to be a link to the classes that we're starting. We're starting to go into our year training. It's going to start September 4th is the Wednesday classes. And that is going to go through 52 weeks of really understanding little fine-tuned points of all of this work, and it'll really help you to make sense of this work. The classes are $25 a week, or you can do $90 for the monthly. You can register for that below. There's a link there where you can do that. And you can also register for the Saturday classes coming September 14th. I'm having a Saturday in-home retreat. If you don't live here, you can also join us in Zoom and be a part of the community as we practice together, which is also it's fun, because you start to hear the universality of everybody's experience and how it's the same as yours. And it makes you, for me, over the years, when we do the group work, it just helps you step into this work more fully and completely. I hope that you can join us. Those Saturday classes are $125. It's a 3-hour class. It is recorded, so if you're not able to be with us, but you want to send in some questions or send in some things that you're working with, we can answer that in class, and you'll be able to pick it up later, and then hopefully join us live at some point throughout the year. We're doing those on the second Saturday of every month from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the Wednesday classes are 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time every Wednesday. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I'd love to have you join us, and thank you for being here with me. It is my greatest honor to be here with you and to be with God. May I just remember to stay with God, get behind God. Oh my gosh, it's our biggest blind spot. I wish you a lot of luck, and may you recognize that the force is with you at all times, and just rest in. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you when it suits your schedule next. Have a great one.